Hi, welcome back to another episode of The Green Room with, this guy. Today, we're going to talk about, I don't know if it's necessarily one of the biggest challenges in comedy, but it feels like a really big challenge right now in getting started. And that is the challenge of moving beyond open mics. Now, if you're sitting there going like, I don't know what that means. Yeah, you've probably never tried to do this before, and good on you. It's a bit of brain damage you probably don't need. But the challenge is this. It's basically this. How do you get more stage time? And get more stage time in places that, where people want to hear comedy. Because the thing about an open mic is it's a good starting point, right? In fact, when I got in, maybe this is the best way to tell this. When I started this, that was all I knew. It was just like, well, how do you start being in comedy? You get a tight 5 and you go find an open mic. And that seems like a decent starting place still. But the thing that you learn very quickly is that there are people who have never moved beyond that starting step. And they've been doing it for years. These are people who are at every open mic night. They run the circuit. And I don't know what they're hoping for. I don't know what their strategy is, because the open mics are kind of a dead end. There's nobody at these open mic nights that's just like, hey, that person did well, sign them up, right? Let's throw a bunch of money at them and see if they can do 60 minutes when all they've given us is 3. Because that's really the challenge of it, is if all you've been doing is open mics, you might have a tight 5. Do you have a tight 20? Do you have a tight 30, 50, 60, right? How long can you be on stage for and keep the audience enthralled, so to speak? And the people that have stages, the people that have eyeballs, those are valuable to them. They're precious to them. If you're the owner of a comedy club, you're monetizing eyeballs. People are coming because they want to see comics, and if you put up bad comics, you're going to lose eyeballs. You're going to lose money. So you need to be able to vet acts before they come up. Before you're going to let anybody headline, you have to know that they can headline. It's this whole problem of getting experience, but needing experience to get experience. We'll only hire you if you've been doing this for 3 years. Okay, but if you haven't been doing it for 3 years, how are you supposed to get experience in doing it at all? And that problem exists in comedy too. So that's really been one of the challenges that I'm facing now is, okay, I've done the open mic thing. That's fine. But there's 2 problems with that. One is, and they both kind of come back to only getting 3 to 5 minutes. One is that you can't practice any bits that are longer than 3 to 5 minutes. Like the salted caramel bit, sorry, that's 10 minutes if I kind of move it through there pretty quickly. If I'm actually working with a crowd and there's going to be points where I ask questions and do a little bit of crowd work, that could be 12, 13 minutes. So not being able to have a narrative or an overall sort of an envelope joke that goes more than 3 to 5 minutes, that's tough. Not being able to practice those larger bits, because some things just need more. And then that other problem in only being able to do 3 to 5 minutes at a time is that no one's going to give you 30 if all you've been doing is 3 to 5. Theoretically, if you've been doing the circuit for long enough and telling a whole bunch of different jokes, maybe you get enough exposure with one club where they go yeah, we've heard this person over the course of years do maybe 20 or 30 minutes worth of material and it all seems pretty good. Maybe we'll let them on stage to headline. I presume that's what most of these people are hoping for, but holy shit, that is a slog. I mean, you can hit up an open mic night every single night of the week in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area if you want. And I noticed a lot of the same people going to different open mics and giving their same content that was passable. It was okay. It was fine. Some of it was funny, but again, mostly disconnected. A lot of people don't write. They have a lot of disconnected jokes. They don't try and put anything in a narrative. And we're natural storytellers. We're natural story listeners. We like listening to stories and narratives. there is certainly a place for more like punchline driven comedians, and there are some names that, you know, like Mitch Hedberg is somebody that comes to mind, of like, he just told a lot of punchline jokes that were really funny and didn't really fit into a narrative. So I'm not saying that you know, there's only one type of comedy. There's certainly lots of different types of comedy, but I'm a narrative comic. Like, I enjoy the narrative. I enjoy telling a story. And I think a lot of people enjoy hearing that too. So while it may not be the only way to go, it's my way. And I think it's a way that a lot of people like. Like, when I think about the acts that I like listening to, you know, when I pull up Netflix specials, I like listening to people that have stories and narratives and tell jokes in between. That's a really long way of saying that open mics are not good for my format. They're good for getting introduced to the scene, for being able to sort of verify that, like, yeah, okay, you do okay on stage, and you can write some jokes. But getting to that next stage, graduating beyond open mics, the thing about an open mic is there's no barrier at entry. You literally just sign up. You can walk in off the street. You can spend 3 minutes singing like the alphabet, you know, over and over and over again. And like, maybe after the second time, they'll just be like, yo, yank this guy. But there's nobody checks before you get up there. The very next rung, they check. And if you don't have material, how do you get there? Like, if they can't see you delivering material, how do they get there? How does somebody who doesn't know you give you 30 minutes on stage? This has been the challenge I've been trying to work through. And after talking with some other folks, the consensus is you have to record. You have to use an online audience. You have to, like, put stuff on Instagram, put stuff on YouTube. You have to be able to show that, like, even if it's just talking to a camera, you have to be able to do 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 50 minutes. And ideally, you want to be able to, like, the best thing to show to somebody that has a stage and a comedy audience is, look, here's me doing 30 minutes at this other comedy club. Yeah, I killed. Let me on. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, no problem. Here, yeah, come on, right? But if you don't have that, you got to get there somehow. So that is a challenge. And the way that I've been, my theory in that is the way to address that is to work through smaller venues, places that don't have as much to lose. Maybe they don't have comics come up very often. I'm talking bars, restaurants, things like that. And where I live, I'm about an hour outside of Minneapolis. So the number of comics per square mile, like, you know, in Minneapolis, you're going to go to an open mic and there's going to be 30 or 40 comedians trying to get on stage. The comedians per square mile out here in the sticks is like, it's me for like 30 miles. That's all you get. So there's less competition, which is cool, but there's also different audiences. If you've listened to the bit about me bombing at an open mic, there are some very interesting caveats for trying to set up a gig like that. So that's where I'm at right now, is trying to work through getting more live performances, and it's work. Yeah. But if you don't do it, your only alternative is really like, go to open mics. Every open mic, every night, for years and years and years. And I don't have years. I'm not going to give this years. Like, I can't afford years. Let's say that. At this level. Like, anyways. So that's the challenge now. So if you're thinking about getting into comedy and you're like, yeah, the first step is go to an open mic. It absolutely is. But it's kind of like that South Park joke of, like, you know, there's missing steps and then profit. This was one of those missing steps for me that I looked at it and went, like, you know, step 1, go to an open mic. Step 2, step 3, Netflix special. Not how it works. There's a whole progression. Because my assumption is after you land the small gigs and you can tape yourself at those, then you can go to, like, proper comedy clubs and headline eventually. And then after those, you can, you know, you just keep building your audience and expanding it beyond beyond the people that are already in your social graph. Because that's the thing about building a following is like, I can gab on YouTube all day long, but until I go get in front of people who don't already know me, the chances of expanding my reach beyond those of you who already know me from real life is practically nil. So, unless everybody's sharing and subscribing and liking and going crazy, and if you do that, I love you, thank you. But I also don't expect everybody to have that level of engagement, and that's fine. If all you get is a few Snickers, wow, chuckles. What was I trying to say there? I don't know. But if all you get out of my channel is that, a few ha-has, then great. But if you're with me for the long haul, I love you. Thank you for being here.